Hey you, it's true, and Sigza surprised us a little bit with the newest SSR coming up, Mordred. Despite her boss skill set actually being poison, this is turning out to be a burn unit in the playable version. To be fair, it would have been quite unusual for a poison unit to have the light element, but it's also not super common for burn either. Last we saw it with Apollo and Artemis. Unlike them, with their burn stealth skillset, this rebel of the round table fully embraces burn though. Mordred comes with a low speed of 229, but this is actually good when we look at her active skills. And with the Royal Bloodbath, we see the explanation for why that is straight away. Royal Bloodbath gives 2 spirit and costs 5 time units. I'm not sure if we ever saw a skill before that had this kind of odd time unit cost, but yeah, whatever, it's very close to an instant skill. And this one immediately gives all other allies that are burning the next turns by reducing their current time units. Mordred will also be granted the healing burn status for 300 time units. So more often than not, this skill is basically a give turn to all skill if you are running her with Gilgamesh or Commander Astrid, and so it makes sense that this becomes locked for 200 time units after use. This skill cannot be used unless there is at least one other burning ally on the battlefield, but actually I think this is helpful so the AI doesn't do anything stupid, because if there's no burning ally on the battlefield, this would be quite a waste, I think, considering the time lock that comes afterwards. The second active skill is Heated Strike. 1 spirit produced, 50 time unit cost, 100% damage to one enemy, 400% if Mordred is burning, 600% if the burn drive condition is fulfilled, so basically at least 4 units with the burn status effect. Mordred is granted the healing burn for 300 time units, and she gains 1 charge after damage is dealt. The charges, of course, will come into play in another skill, but I can already tell you that it is not a charged hold ground this time. Royal Crimson Sting is her most costly skill, costing 3 spirit. Actually, now that I think about it, it's her only skill that costs spirit, but of that quite a lot. And also 130 time units, which is quite long in today's meta. But what it does is not bad. 300% damage to all enemies and another 100% for each charge that Mordred has stored. So this can scale up to 600% max, and this attack does not consume charges. Instead, it actually grants her another charge and it ignores the stealth status effect. So very, very effective against somebody like Kaguya. This can only be used if she has the burn status effect, or if she is alone on the battlefield, so basically also a last man standing skill. But one thing that I find interesting here, something to keep in mind, it is an attack all skill, but it doesn't ignore counter stance. So enemy units with the counter stance that are surviving this attack will actually get the turn. Moving on to her final active skill, Burning Blood. It is an instant skill, it gives 3 spirit, and it gives Mordred the mega healing burn status effect for 100 time units. I said it before when Cerberus was released that future burn units, or the future of burn units, is this kind of mega healing burn status effect. Less because it heals at 20 times the rate as healing burn. I mean, that's obviously also very nice, but more so because it cannot be overwritten by burn, poison, or sleep. And after it runs out, it just turns into a healing burn for 300 time units. When can she use this skill? She needs to have 3 charges stored, so she needs to use the 2 prior skills at least 3 times, and then all these charges will be consumed, and she is also healed for 100% of her max HP, which is nice because you may have noticed that none of her other skills are actually healing her, except for the healing burn status effect technically. But that is very minor, and also interesting to see that none of her skills ignore armor and none of her skills ignore survival passives on enemies. But enough of the active side, let's go to the passives and let's go to Ashes to Ashes. Mordred has a Hold Ground Plus, I think the first burn unit with that since Freya. Funnily enough, there's something happening with an active skill that we just discussed, with Burning Blood, the last one, that is mentioned here in the passives instead of that active, which I find kind of funny. But Burning Blood also resets Hold Ground Plus for her, which of course can be very critical to her survival. Also, each time this unit takes damage from an attack while burning and survives until after the end of turn with more than 1 HP, she will immediately get that turn. And now the fun thing comes in. Despite this being basically a burn counter skin if you want, it is not considered a counter skin. So what Sigza is trying to say here is that all these kind of blast skills or stealth skills, etc., that are ignoring the counter stance nowadays will not be able to ignore this one, only if they bring her to 1 HP with the attack or if Mordred isn't burning. So there are some more conditions attached to this kind of counter skin plus to balance it a little bit. Funnily enough, Sigza also writes this extra turn may be interrupted by other effects that influence the turn order, e.g. other stuns targeting the lowest time unit target. However, now we go to the next passive, and that is called Blood Reaping, and here we have it right away, of course, like all the recent burn units. This unit is not affected by stun effects, so permanently stun immune, so she doesn't really need to worry about any stuns. Honestly, with the naming of some of these skills, with the blood, etc., it seems like Sigza kind of forgot the original meaning of blood units in Evertale. I'm not sure if they just abandoned that kind of archetype, but would be nice to see a new blood unit sometime. In any case, there is a bit of a sense in the naming being blood, because whenever a non-conjured unit on the battlefield is defeated or sacrificed by any source, this unit heals 100% of its max HP, becomes enraged and gains 1 charge and the healing burn status effect. So a lot of things happening here whenever some unit dies. And here I think it's very important to point out that it's not just a non-conjured ally unit that can trigger this effect, but any non-conjured unit on the battlefield triggers this effect. And so I think this is very powerful, extremely necessary, because keep in mind what we said about her active skill healing being a bit meh, only having the burning blood for that basically. So this is super nice, especially with the enrage on top, with the charge on top, the healing burn status on top, and then you can consider her counter skin plus, and all this together makes for a very compelling package, I think. So what's my first impression of Mordred? Yet again another must-have for burn teams, and every other team type, if you're not running any burn, it's basically a super easy skip for you. However, of course, you need to be increasingly worried about the return of burn. I feel Cerberus already set things into motion for a return of the Platoon 1 burn meta that we saw 1 year ago when Commander Astrid was released. And now we might be at a tipping point where Mordred could already trigger the return of the burn meta on certain servers. I can't say for sure if it is enough, but I feel like it might just be, because that kind of steamroll that she can produce together with somebody like Gilgamesh and Cerberus is pretty staggering. But yeah, Gilgamesh absolutely needed as well for the kind of passive ignoring attack and the ignite all skill, and Cerberus of course to be a wall against somebody like Dark Sun Wukong. And while Mordred can deal quite a lot of damage, she is also a bit of a burn support, especially with that give turn all. If you mix in the stuns from Cerberus against the enemy team, I think burn teams can get quite the avalanche rolling at the beginning of a battle. Dark Cinderella is a counter to Mordred, especially with the elemental advantage and the passive ignore, but she needs some time to get going and to get the turn actually, so the damage might already be done before Dark Cinderella can do anything. On the other hand, somebody like Otohime might see a rise again after a bit of a slower start in the SSR world rankings. If burn becomes more prevalent, then her water sleep may become more needed. but we do need to see her hate levels first. We do need to see Mordred's performance on the battlefield in top level arena, and as always, I will try to bring that kind of footage to you on this channel as soon as possible. Quick health update because I got some great news. My tumors have unexpectedly regressed, so for now no need for further invasive surgeries and also no need to start chemotherapy, which I'm very thankful for, and I'm also very thankful for all your well wishes during this time. It really helped me a lot to stay positive. Also, thanks to Helios for the skill animations in this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to become a true carrot, and as always, thanks for watching.